Welcome to Game Soup. It's a game design podcast where we throw ideas in a pot and see what's cooking. I'm Chloe Montgomery and I'm joined by my flashiest friend.
Kayla dies. It's an accident. I can't...
She keeps flashing me.
Okay, what I feel we need to clarify that I am wearing a bra.
Yeah.
Which I admittedly, as a person,
She is wearing
I
a
always
bra.
do. I'm wearing a bra. I've cut an old t-shirt. I realised that I liked how it felt, but I didn't like how people saw me in it, so I've cut it into a crop top, and every now and then I'm leaning up slightly, and you're getting what is honestly not even full bra, fraction of bra.
I'm getting under
I'm
boob.
getting a phone call.
I'm getting
This is
under
probably
boob
not
on
that.
this webcam.
Spam caller. I'm just gonna decline it. Spam caller. I don't give a shit.
Yeah. This will not be a short episode.
Yeah, I mean, this is so early at the start. But yeah, this episode, which I guess comes out after the last one, will not end with Johnny Government calling me up to declare that forgiveness isn't possible. And your worst moments are always weighed heavier than your best.
Jesus.
How are you doing, Chloe?
You've gone into full poetry mode. I'm okay. I'm full of cold. So, if I'm a bit wheezy, forgive me.
Pray for her.
Pray for me. You can pray for me in the form of Patreon
Game
subscriptions.
Soup live tickets.
Purchases at itch.io. The tickets are free. You don't even need tickets.
Yeah, but like we aren't afraid of performing to nobodies. That reminds me, I need to tell Soul Muppet, I'm like, hey, I'm leaving for like an hour to Game Soup.
Just ditch him.
It's fine, like, there's enough people they have to rotate and have breaks, so it just means I get my break at a certain
it's the same
time.
at Biscuit at Indie League.
Oh, also, way later off, if you are Scottish or love to be in Scotland in September, you could come to Tabletop Scotland, where we'll be there, along with girlfriend of the show, other half of Biscuit Fun Games, Alyssa.
I feel like it's too early to hype up a September thing, but yeah, it's true, we'll be there.
It's more just because they announced it
There
and
you go,
stuff
then.
recently. Announced the exhibitor list, so that's why I decided to do it. If you're in Edinburgh for the Fringe and want to extend your stay by 2 weeks...
At that point, it's bangs, but...
It's a good line.
The Edinburgh bangs, yeah.
The Edinburgh Bangs. Yeah, I mean... Oh, man. I once knew someone at the Fringe who had this great flyering technique, which I always want to steal for conventions, but I am aware I would be absolutely shot down by Soul Muppet when I work for them, is they would go up to people with their flyer and go, it's just a front, we're just selling drugs.
You would get shut down doing that in a convention hall.
Yeah, I'd get shut down on my... This is the thing, though. I reckon if I did it like a Dragon Meet, where it's like, me, Laurie, Kristen, Luke, I reckon they'd let me get away with it, even though I would then personally get kicked out. But I don't think I'd make the people I'm stalling with mad at me. I think if I did it while working for Soul Muppet,
Yeah.
I think that would cause some unpopularity. I'm in a weird and giddy mood today. I think because I'm done with fulfillment.
You told me you had a game idea.
I did, yeah. This was suggested by Laurie O'Connell, partly whilst riffing on random ideas. A game that involves a D4, a custom D4, which we would make and sell, where the 4 faces of it are rat, wave, game, and house.
Oh, you have 4 stats?
Yeah, or no, those are results of the face. On the dice.
Okay.
They're not your stats, they are, you roll, and it's like, oh, what's this girl? Oh, that's rat.
What do these results mean?
Well, that's the question
Or is
for
it like
you,
that
dear
old
Chloe.
Star Wars RPG where each of they had weird faces and it was like, oh, you got the Empire symbol, that means you get a bad result.
Yeah, I feel like this can't be so clinically just good, bad result. I wonder if it's about, like, an individual approach. Whether it's like, well, maybe it's like a fact of, like... Maybe it weirdly sort of, like, removes, like, this as success modifier and more as a how things go modifier. Like, maybe you roll the Rat Wave Gamehouse dice along with, like, a regular D6 or whatever. And it's like, one of those dictates what you're... how you're trying to do something. Though you have to just interpret that prompt. And then, like, the success is its own regular dice. So you're like, oh yeah, I want to sneak in... It's probably all, like, big macro things. You're like, I want to sneak into this building. And you're really hoping for rat, because then you'll just, like, go through the crawl spaces. And then you get house. And it's, okay. And you've got to pitch how you do something involving this approach. And yeah, then you have to roll the success thing, or not.
Yeah, I think we have, like, a quarter page in the book for each of the things explaining, like, oh, well, that can be something sneaky, but it can also be a monster.
It can also be a carrier.
And then wave is, like, something
Aww.
cute.
Wave, yeah. It's both anything water, but also...
And then a wave is like... I was going to say any elemental effect, something to do with
I think,
weather,
yeah, but
nature.
also you...
but also if it's for an attack, then it has a wider
But I also think
effect.
you get to bullshit. Like, you roll wave for an approach where you're trying to convince someone of something, and you're like, it's because I'm so charming. I wave and they know they can trust me.
I was going to say...
No, it's just wave. And they're
them.
like, I can't be so mad at someone with such a simple wave.
I think this is a very, like, improv-y, like, you have to bullshit at the GM. Do they agree?
Yeah, I
Could
think
you use
even
your
before
wave
you roll
in
the
this
success
point?
dice for stuff, the GM can just say, this doesn't work. Like, the GM has the ability to just say, your pitch is too bullshit. It work. And then it's considered a fail because you couldn't justify why the fiction is. I don't know how we're, like, locking in of, like, you have to approach this. Whether that's, like, all a meta.
Yeah, I don't even know if you have, like, a D6 roll as well as the Rat Wave dice, because, like...
Yeah.
I think it's all about arguing with the GM, like, oh yeah, no, I use my... I am like the rat. Sneaky.
Yeah.
But then it's like, house is about
Yeah,
safety,
it's always you're given a
about
certain
family,
pitch.
it's
And I
about-
guess, like, the answer for, like, why are you rolling for this? Why are you not just deciding what you want to do? It's like a sort of, Ben 10 dial H for hero thing, where, like, you are locked with, like, some kind of, like, fucking magical artifact or whatever that, like, is on shuffle. And you can never, like, actually get what you want, and then, maybe shape-shifting game, maybe it's a game about trying to kill Kayla Dice, the real-life person. Your fictional characters who want to escape fiction. I think you're supporting characters from every game I've ever written in a weird, like, multiverse film or whatever. Yeah, we have just comboed, like, multiple of our previous games. We've comboed Rat Wave. We've kind of comboed The Princess Escapes the Story. And now, Spurb. Okay, so maybe it's not, dimension hopping stuff.
But I like this idea of you've got a dice with a bunch of different, like, faces on it. And it is like a Ben 10 sort of thing where you get a random superpower or whatever for one scene or whatever, and you've got to work out how can I use super strength when actually I need to be going really fast or something.
Yeah, I feel like the way to do this if we didn't want to get a bespoke branded D4 and make it less self-absorbed would be like... I feel like you almost go cute and do it as a D10 and then it's just a table. Ooh, but I like the idea you could have your artifact here where it's like, oh, you've upgraded this. You've upgraded from the D6 to the D10. You now have access to all of this. Still shuffled, still random. Like, you've not control, but you've expanded your powers.
Yeah, I think there's like 20 pages of here's the monster or the superhero or whatever you turn into. And then you start with like a D4, and then you upgrade to the D6 and you unlock 2 more superpowers or whatever. You can still get those D4 ones, but you also have these 2 extra ones and you upgrade and upgrade. And then we can do expansions with like, oh, there's the first book is all monsters, then you get superpowers, then aliens.
Yeah, and I think it's all
whatever.
still, like... So now if we've gone with, like, oh, it's how you get superpowers or abstract things or whatever... Is it less about, like, the arguing with the GM bullshit, or do we think it's still on the arguing with the GM bullshit?
I think it's very much a free-form improv-y game, like arguing with the GM, but you don't get to pick, like, oh yeah, I have every power. No, you have telekinesis, or whatever. You've been given this shitty superpower.
Yeah, I think
work out how
ironically
to
enough,
make it
like,
good.
probably, like, what this as a book is it's, like, loads of pages of tables, and then, like, a fuck ton of GM advice, and, like, the core mechanic is kind of just a fucking paragraph summation.
Yeah, I mean, if we wanted to write rules for this, I guess, like, each superpower, whatever, we could give, like, a list of positive moves and minus moves, like it's B.O.B.
Yeah, or I was gonna say could give, like, them a rock, paper, scissors for everything effect, but I've just, like, that sounds like a lot of bookkeeping for something that is a bit abstract. Or maybe we just make maybe not even a rock, paper, scissors thing, maybe you have, like, a Pokemon list of these things are weak against this, and, like, every monster stuff does have some elements, as much as we're also, like, here's, like, a more harder pitch, which is still very loose, and there's still all the fact of you are bullshitting.
Yeah.
Yeah, a weird Ben 10 Dial H for Hero game.
D10 for hero. D4 for
I
hero,
feel like,
don't
weirdly
know.
enough, part of my mind is
like
going, like, it's called DX. Because the X changes.
Yeah. DX, the hero die.
Yeah.
I think
like,
you can't just call it DX. That's not. You can't Google that.
Yeah, that's true.
That's definitely a colon one. And then each of the expansions can be like the monster dice, the superhero dice.
Yeah.
Like,
no, I gotta say the hero died, because then, like, one of the, like, last GM advice pages could be the hero dies.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that. The monster die. The whatever die. And then there's maybe also a section about, like, fucking building your own table. I think oddly enough, for being, like, improv bullshit, this is, like, you go so deep into this campaign of what you play with this.
yeah, absolutely.
I kind of want to write this. I don't think I will, because I kind of try and resist writing superhero games, because
You could easily do, like, just a one-page, like, proof of concept of it, and then if it was fun, then go into, like, writing, oh, here's what some of the moves for strong power is.
Yeah, you could easily do, like, the D6
Wow.
version, the fucking, the mechanic and the rock, paper, scissors Pokemon style, and then just it's like, I'll expand this bullshit if I need to. But yeah, mainly I'm also just like, I think because superheroes are overexposed, in spite of the fact that, like, I have had, like, a big interest, like, I had a big special interest in superheroes as a kid, I kind of am just like, I don't want to write a superhero RPG. I think superheroes are a bit done.
So how's Shadow the other side of the coin going?
It's actually going very well. To be fair, that is my... Because there are free superhero type things as playsets, and then there are free non-ones. Like, that's me...
Okay.
Nemesis Revealed is useful for me getting stuff out of my system in playsets that I don't necessarily want to write full games for. In the same way, I don't think I'll ever write a full mech game, but there is a playset called, like, K9000 Delta about, like, big-ass mech fight stuff.
Dog girls.
No idea what you're talking about.
Did you hear they cast Keanu Reeves as Shadow the Hedgehog?
Keanu is Shadow now.
Yeah.
Keanu Shadow now.
I can absolutely see it as a thing. It's great casting.
Yeah, Keanu also feel as, like, not a big voice actor guy previously. Probably because until John Wick, he was regarded as a bad actor.
I mean, he did Batman in the Crypto and Ace Superdog movie. Super Pets or whatever the hell it was called.
Oh, the one which is end credit scene is free Dwayne Johnson's face against one Henry Cavill.
Yeah, I want to say so. I worked in the cinema when that film was on, so I've seen the ending of that a lot when we went in to clear up.
Yeah, that makes sense. What was I going to say? Was it about Keanu? Yeah, I mean, there's that, but I feel like otherwise, that's quite recent and it's not otherwise done. It's just, yeah, Keanu Shadow now. Keanu Shadow now. Do we need Andy for our next game?
I am going to pick a title of a book from my bookshelf next to me.
Ooh.
And you are going to pitch a game for it.
Very well.
The Call of Cthulhu.
It's not April Fool's anymore, Chloe.
No, it's not even the RPG, it's the H.P. Lovecraft book.
Oh, right.
Okay, let's go with... None of these are good jokes, I'm not gonna lie. None of these are good jokes.
This is reminding me I should make sure I read Kiki's Delivery Service before UK Games Expo.
Yes, I did give you the copy for that. Go on then, what's the Kiki's Delivery Service game?
I feel like that has been done, is the thing.
Oh, well.
Do you want me to pick one off of my shelf, then?
I'm struggling, I'm not gonna lie, these are not good books. Oh, yeah, well. Listen, this will be a theme for a future episode, but we'll probably need to reorganise this bookshelf to have better ideas right in front of me.
There's an Ali Smith short story collection I have called The First Person and Other Short Stories. I like this idea. Yeah, what is the first person? Is this like a fucking, like, meta-narrative bullshit stuff, or is it a caveman game?
No, it's bringing to mind that thing from the Never-Ending Story where there's, like, some object that makes you the protagonist of reality. And, like, somebody in the book the protagonist gets it stolen off them. And the person who steals it from them is the protagonist for, like, 5 chapters.
That's
It's like
fun.
They do not matter. So...
Okay. So you're using that as your starting point?
Yeah, I think... It's something about how you've got... I want to say there's, like, moves for being the protagonist, and everyone around the table makes, like, a basic character. But then there's bonus moves for being the protagonist, and so you can pass those to other people to, like, give the
maybe it's like
spotlight to them.
Maybe it's like half BOB style, where, like, everyone who is not the protagonist only has, like, vulnerable moves and regular moves, or, like, other kind of moves.
Yeah, only shit that
And
can gain them tokens.
yeah.
Yeah.
Strong moves are only available to the protagonist. But it does mean all of the other characters are fucking, like, building up their tokens in this time.
Yeah, but do you want to give up your power, your agency, to let somebody else do something with it?
Ooh, so is it also... I wondered, was it about stealing it versus, But is it more about, like, yeah, to some extent, it's helpful to give up? That's it, yeah. I actually think there's something quite nice there. Not, like, nice in losing agency, but
I think, like, the different classes have different ways to interact with it. So it's like the thief, or what, I don't know, my brain just goes to fantasy, but the thief can, like, steal it from people. And the cleric has their god speaking in the back of their head, but you can only hear it if they're the protagonist.
Yeah.
Because they become the POV character.
But I like the idea of the fact that, like, yes, ultimately sometimes to help someone else do something that's very important to them, you need to acknowledge, I'm not actually the protagonist of this right now. I was immediately imagining this as way more like modern urban fantasy. I'm curious if that's just a sign of our slight differences in tastes.
I think you design a lot of more urban modern fantasy.
Yeah, I was imagining this
fantasy,
almost as like a Wickdev-esque setting.
So go into that. Explain it.
I guess I was imagining it's like, yeah, it's a bunch of people in a city who have become aware of this nature of, like, either become aware of the nature of fiction, or maybe the protagonist thing is like looser. Maybe it is a sort of sort of like a, you know, broken kind of like world thing. Like Gormangeist has a really cool game, two actually games called like Bubblegum Wizards and Bubblegum Vampires, where it's like, yeah, all of reality got folded into one. Like all the whole multiverse is now in this city. So I think maybe a bit of that, and there is actually a nature of like, yeah, you can meet real fictional characters, and the book itself is loaded with like public domain cunts, but there's always this implication of like, but you know, if you wanted to throw fucking Donald Duck in here, no one would stop you. The lawyers won't show up at your house. We can't put Donald Duck in the book on account of what would happen to us.
Yeah.
Are broken by lawyers. But we've put Mickey in here, and, well, you know, if Mickey had a friend, who's to
There's
say?
a guy who's called Donald. I don't know what sort of species he is, but he might be there.
I think that's how I would write this weird game. And you now explain about your more trad fantasy way.
Yeah, my trad fantasy, I think you would have, like, each class would have, like, their special power when they have this object. So, like, the fighter would have plot armor, so they can't die while they have it, or whatever. And the thief can, like, steal people's agency with it, or whatever, and the cleric can hear their god, or whatever. But then, it's like, do you actually want to pass this around the table, or do you want to be, like, this super-powered version of yourself? And it's like about giving and taking, like, power, and I don't know,
PvP enabled.
Yeah, I think it would be good for like a 1 or 2 session bit in a campaign where you get like in a normal D&D campaign or whatever, where you get this magical mystical artifact and then suddenly the entire game changes.
That is fun.
And it's like, oh god, we have to get rid of this. Or, actually, I quite like having the One Ring.
Oh yeah, just sort of One Ring analog if you're doing it in a fantasy setting.
Yeah.
This is cool.
But yeah, I don't know.
What do you call your version of this?
I think it would be like whatever the name of this object is, so like the Light Pendant or something, I don't know.
I think mine would be Protagonest, as in like who is the most protagonist.
I was thinking like birds, like a bird nest.
Ooh, Protagonest is also fun. Yeah, I think you call it Protagonist and you like it's oh, what does that mean?
Look at the back to find out.
Thank you for listening to Game Soup.
Thank you for listening to Game Soup.